That is, it needs to reflect the realities of Indian markets. We may come up actually with a course which is specific to the Indian environment. Entrepreneurship is clearly an area that lends itself to that. Again, Dhaval's been talking, I think, also about the whole emphasis on new age education, right? So
Yeah.
that's why we built in the innovation studio.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we need to do a little bit of work to see whether this is more skill oriented, whether it
Mm.
is the equivalent of a
Mm.
incubator, like an almost an on-campus incubator,
Yeah.
right? So that's I think the route we need to go.
We have that innovation lab here,
Yes.
Hansa. We are
Yeah.
already like planning
Yeah.
that to have a lab. So I think we can relate that particular course over there. And
Yeah, that's a great
Also,
point.
also, also, I feel like we want to make sure that, most of the times we see this, that the diversity of the profile that we want for an MBA,
Mhm.
and most of these programs are known, all these top programs, across the world are known for their diversity, where someone they come for a career change as well. So
Yeah.
suppose out of your, if you're looking at 30, we should at least have 10 kids who are coming because they really want a career change. And this MBA is going to give them something where they become their brand ambassadors, because they know that this has been a huge, sort of point in their life where they could really change, they could really go into industry. And this has really got them to doing a lot, like, something very different from where they started off thinking. And it really allowed them to come into industry and, get the best of that. So they could be even someone who's running an art gallery, for all it is, right? And this really changed things for them.
Yeah. It reminds me of YF Tawal. Yeah.
So what I'm saying is
In a more
that
corporate way.
Yeah. Yeah. Correct.
1/3 of the people who come from that perspective, which could
Mm.
drive everyone else. Because imagine those, group discussions that you have are going to be different than, just those intellectual discussions that you're having, because people have to pace themselves when they go into the industry. You're going to get all kinds of people. And you can't expect that I'm going to get everyone who's from an IIT, IIM background
Yeah.
making those conversations. You need to really have diversity in that pool.
True.
And sometimes these opportunities become really big for those who come from these areas, who think that, what will happen now. I mean they're probably very good at what they're doing, but they also really want to, up their game, right? They really want to be in the corporate side. I know someone who went from being at the managing an art gallery to managing an entire product for Unilever. So, it could be a very different change, but they have that, the crux is that leadership that they have, that ability to interact, network, they could take that to almost any platform. And so this probably gives them that, that particular facet of, interactions with a smaller cohort. I mean, a 30 cohort is like, it's unbelievable, because that's how people should feel that, like what you went through IIF. Imagine if you're able to give this a layer of 30, which is very small. That first, group that goes out just feels, because, you'll never have 30 after this. Maybe it'll just grow to a 50, it'll grow to a 70, 80, because international cohorts are like 500 and 1,000. Harvard is like 1,000, ka batch. So think about it that way, that, what is this 30 going to really be? Is essentially going to create a lot for this program.
Yeah. Got it, though. Yeah.
So, I mean, I was just trying to think from diversity perspective, because most programs otherwise only have 35% women. And how do we get maybe more numbers there? I don't know if it's possible, but if we get more numbers there, nothing like it.
Yeah. But I forgot to ask, are we planning it as like fully residential or something like that? Definitely, right?
No, so it won't be fully residential, in the sense that they've already got. So if you saw the campus, I don't know, what did you all think of the videos that I sent, by the way? I didn't get your first thoughts.
Good. I
Yeah.
thought I thought that really gave us some sense of the campus, and it looked really
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Where are the labs over there,
Coming
Dhaval?
there,
Yeah, they have labs, they have, they've put everything together, but I don't think I had the video for everything. But it was just giving a sense of, that this campus doesn't look like any of the other campuses. It just looks a little bit more modern. If you see,
Mhm.
colors are not too bright. Uh, I mean, trust me, I've walked through so many campuses in Bombay. I'm not talking about this being an atlas, right? Because an atlas is just a leased, it's like it's in a it's in a tech park, yeah. So you're leasing just a glass facade, and you're working through it,
Okay.
which is what Atlas has been from day one. Even at Lower Parel, it was like a tech sort of building, and then they kind of went from there, and they've kind of kept the same thing. But here, this is like it is still a campus feeling because I didn't capture that part where the ground is there, and you have a canteen and you have all these things, but
Hmm.
you kind of have that environment of a university, but it's definitely a modern university because in Bombay,
Mhm.
still having 5 acres of land and having
Yes.
space
Yeah.
is otherwise hard.
Yeah. True.
So even though you're talking about Navi Mumbai and I mean, Rift is smaller than this, yeah. So you can just imagine.
Okay.
And having 7 floors, like every alternative floor has an auditorium, and every floor has
Oh.
every alternative floor has an auditorium, and every floor has 2 computer labs, and I think they already have 2 libraries. So I think there are a lot of stuff. Then there's space for an innovation center, a space for making sure that you can have, you know, what we wanted to do is a design lab, right? So have a design and innovation lab. So we'll have to
Mhm.
figure out how those resources. See, the thing is, I feel that they have 1.5 lakh square feet built up is still a decent amount. I mean, it's a lot bigger than what Masters Union, which is claiming doesn't have, right? They just have one floor. You know, so I'm just saying this is what we have is that we have a decent amount of space. It's right in the heart, of Navi Mumbai, and uh, it's they have 2 entrance. They have an entrance from the main road as well. Plus, they have like the back entrance. They have parking in the basement, so all the faculty has parking, all of that stuff. So I feel like it's and there is still work to be done. It's not like there isn't, but at least I feel we have a good starting point. I mean, if you had to take videos and pictures for the brochure, you would get decent ones, Hansa.
I think, Dhaval, this looked very good. It is a great shell. There may be a need to obviously create more experiential touch points in it, but the good thing is that, you know, uh, there's no sort of history to it. You can really give shape to it in whichever way the organization takes shape, the programs, the kind of culture that we build, the spirit of this program. I think that can be reflected really well. So yeah, and it's unusual. It's not like any other campus that I've seen. It's
I mean, it's
most
so let's
campuses have
let's see. It's
like,
not elaborate. It's not elaborate. Like I know Bits is making this whole campus, which is like really going to look you know next level for their design or whatever. But the point was, I feel like for what we need, I think it's very suitable, and there is
yes,
enough. Yeah, it's very suitable for a program where we're not even overcharging, right? We're looking at 3.5, 4 lakh rupees in terms of you know the the fee, of course giving scholarships, doing all of those other things. The idea is that with that and with the kind of faculty that we want to get, the space could just align us and get us where we need to. So that was important, for us, that
that's very
we have the
distinctive.
space. Yeah.
Think Jindal, think Ashoka, think Shivnadar, think Ahmedabad. They all have typical sprawling campuses with buildings scattered in different places, which is one model. But now when we're talking new kind of education, when we're saying something which is going to draw on the energy of Mumbai, this is a great urban campus. And I think we should talk about that, in all our literature and so on. I
Yeah.
somehow felt that maybe it's, the real estate expertise that underlies it was really coming through. It's very different. I mean, I would be okay with, uh, to me, that's the top criteria, Dhaval. If
Yeah.
we look like every other university,
Yeah.
we, we're the we're really late entering into this space. But because it is so distinctive, I think it works.
Yeah. And I feel, there is a lot of scope that as I said, within the space you could have another smaller building coming up that we need, for just a separate one for this facility or housing. So there's a lot of those eventualities, and also next to this we could have more space and make this like a 10-acre campus if we need to. So all that is very, very
What
doable
is
and
around
possible.
it?
Yeah.
Dhaval, what is around it in terms of just
So it's actually, there's a lot of, I mean, it's Bombay, so everything around it is basically housing, like it's a residential, except NIFT. So NIFT is like right beside it. So right next to NIFT is their campus, and it's just that their campus is more accessible because it's like even on the, so this is like the main highway that goes towards Pune. So when you come to this Kharghar, Navi Mumbai side, and before you go ahead, there's this. This is essentially where everyone stops at that McDonald's to, like, or they used to. Now, because that new Atal, bridge that has come in from Sibri or the eastern side, that goes directly to the Pune highway. That bypasses Panvel, which earlier used to be the case. Uh, but still, you can go to Panvel from here and reach Panvel in about 45 minutes, which wasn't possible, which is otherwise used to take about an hour and a half. So it's cut down my time also of basically going to Pune, which is like by 40 minutes. And for me to even reach Panvel by at least 20 minutes. So I'd say
so
that,
eventually it's
yeah,
going to be a continuum, right? It's going to be that entire Mumbai Pune is
absolutely.
just going to be one stretch. It's not going to be
Absolutely.
cities.
Absolutely. And if you actually see, now they've built a new, so even, the older road that was going up from Pune to Lonavala, now a lot of the stretches are being built across from the mountains, so that that travel time, which was even taking more because of that, there's clog in traffic and all of that. Now they're even moving to like making better roads on those mountains. So I think that that travel time is even going to be narrower now. I mean, I think that we're going to go from that. Now it takes me 3 hours to get to the furthest point in Pune, because I'm in Vimannagar, which is literally the furthest point. But
Right.
I actually reach Pune within 2 hours 10 minutes from my place in Bombay, like
That's
literally.
crazy.
That's
So I think
crazy.
road infrastructure clearly has been a big improvement.
Oh, it's huge. I mean,
Yeah.
imagine me reaching Pune in 2 hours 10 minutes or 15 minutes. And that whole stretch of me going. So the outskirts, which is Alve, which was, before Panvel, now Ulve or Alve, whatever you call it, now that, as the Atal Bridge finishes, which is about 25 or 30 minutes from where I live. So imagine that the pricing of my place is 38,000 rupees a square feet, whereas that place is like 12,000. So now you in 40 minutes, in sorry, 30 minutes, you're reaching the other side. So I'm sure that entire space is going to get built like crazy. I can already see it, and that's all new development, all new planning. So a lot of people wouldn't mind living there because I feel that the air quality would be even better.
Yeah.
So I'm sure a lot of people, because of this bridge, would even move up there and still be able to come from there. And there's another bridge they're making from where I live across that goes all the way to Narman Point, and that's going to take another 10-15 minutes. So basically, someone living there 30 minutes can reach Narman Point in 45 minutes.
So going forward, it'll be a very light commute. It's
Incredibly. I mean, you can
yeah.
imagine if you can just go to Pune in a short amount of time. 2 hours, 10 minutes to Pune was unbelievable. It used to take at 1.6 hours
Yeah.
because of the mountains.
Yeah. And there used to be that train, right? What was it? The Deccan
Yeah.
Queen or whatever.
Yeah. So they still have the Deccan now. They have the Atal. What is that? No. The Vande Bharat, and the Vande Bharat, it takes about 3 hours now. So now it's 3 hours directly, but I still feel like that's incredible. I mean, this
It
is 2 hours,
is.
10 minutes. You're reaching there in 3 hours, and you're going at 110
And
kilometers an hour, and they're trying to increase that speed to 150. They're saying that if that happens, then again, that change. It's just that there are people on, they could just kill someone because it's going so fast. It's not that we can't go fast. It's just, and we have the trains to go that speed. It's just that we don't have discipline yet. There are people throwing stuff on the tracks, and it could derail, and there'll be a lot of other issues. So if they get that cleared out, I think we could actually reach, cities. I mean, Bombay, Delhi could become such a quick thing if we really could make that.
getting there. I think getting there.
Yeah.
So, okay. So I think this is what we had done.
Yeah.
Let's now maybe in a modular manner, all three of us sign off and set up these core groups who are going to have a look at it. Yeah, so we'll work on that in parallel, Seema.
Yeah. So one more thing that we wanted to discuss was on BBA specialization loans that we want to finalize today. Just give it 2 seconds, okay?
So, Dhaval, any word from Vikram? Mute. You're muted.
So he hasn't replied back to me. As a matter of fact, that's what I was thinking. I'll just check on if he's replied. But I think today was the deadline for one of his courses, or I think the third deadline, which they have, right, which Plaksha has. So I think that's what's got him busy, is what I feel. Maybe he'll reply to me tomorrow. But I told him that if you can't make it in this weekend, also we can look at next week. But Jubin did reply back, which I already told you, and I confirmed with him. So we'll send him that. Also, if you were available on Tuesday, Hansa, we've got, I think we had shortlisted a couple of HR candidates, even for this whole thing. So we're going to have a couple of interviews on Tuesday and Wednesday. So if you might be available for, 15, 20 minutes, we can just, at least have a couple of these interviews that we think. So maybe I'll at least keep 2 interviews that we can just do 15, 20 minutes with, and just ask a few questions. And if it makes sense, then, just hire. Because the ones that we're looking at right now are probably a little bit more immediate, that they can join us within 10 days.
So, sounds good.
So that, it'll become a little bit easier to close out on,
Yeah.
the other stuff. I think even if we find, so, a lot, like most of the work of, their recommenders and, talking to all of that and, making them take the test, all that stuff is done. I think it's a little bit more of that last round of figuring out if they kind of work for the role specific to what we want.
Sure.
It's just that everything's going on simultaneously. So, I'm just glad that it's moving quickly now.
Yeah. And it'll suddenly kind of align.
Yeah.
But we can, would you prefer to do this in the first half?
Yeah, I'm okay with anything. If you think Tuesday first half, we can do Tuesday first half. That's fine.
Yeah. Let's, finish them off and
Yeah. And I think we just need the admission policy for MBA, right? So if we have that.
yeah. So I've got a similar framework ready.
Okay.
I just want to think through that a little bit, maybe over tomorrow,
Sure.
and I'll share it with you. Of course, we do want to have at least the admissions the person who's going to be working on these to come in and
Do you
take a look
want
at it
me?
before we
Do
roll
you
it
want
out.
me to share something that comes across? Because there is this website called Poets and Quants, right?
Yes, of
And
course.
you might
The
have heard of it,
UK.
yeah.
The
Exactly.
UK.
But they do a fantastic job at kind of like putting these kind of smaller pieces of what an admission policy across universities look for, right? So there might be some article that I could find out which makes sense while we are considering this piece.
So,
It's just that it'll be a little bit more assimilated because they will do a research of these 10 schools, and then they're pulling out, okay, what kind of works out. Um, and then maybe we find the right fit of the policy, because we also want, like, our sort of goals are also specific, right, in terms of what we want in terms of diversity and all of that. So maybe our policies also should kind of align towards what our goals are in that sense, right?
absolutely.
So because, like, as we spoke, it's important to have a good mix of people, where they come from in terms of the backgrounds, and some who really want a career change versus someone who's just coming from an intellectual perspective and they just want to push their sort of scope ahead. So that, and then one other thing is, let's start talking to maybe these test prep people who who could potentially be our channel partners or whatever it is, that just to gauge essentially that, given that we're late in the game, um, what kind of quality can we look at if you're looking at it, or just put a little bit of a thought to where are we really going to look at getting these candidates, while we of course can reach out to a Shiksha and all of these and start pushing things out, for so for awareness. But the fact is, where are we realistically going to find those students? So put a little bit of a of a piece to that, one. And then two, of course, as you and I spoke about the fact that we need to put a small document together for our outreach and marketing person who comes on board. Just what do we expect them to follow, right, in terms of our goals, right? So that when we give it to them, accordingly they know, okay, of course they get a brief of the program, all of that stuff, but like a small document that of course tells them that this is what, from a marketing perspective, from an outreach, this is the vision, this is the mission, this is what you should align yourself to be doing, so that we can reach there.
So we'll put that together, but that'll be literally, more at a strategic level. We discussed also that we need to now start translating it into the actual, brochure, prospectus, etc., that needs to go out. So once you confirm, we'll pick that up as well.
Sure.
Yeah. Going back
I
to
think we
Hansa
were,
was saying something.
yeah, no, I think this is the slide that you actually wanted to close,
Yeah.
Seema.
For the
Yeah.
BBA, yeah.
Yeah. So we want to confirm, finalize the specializations level here. So we removed healthcare and we put operations, because finance and entrepreneurship, anyways, it is covering together, and marketing and operations. So we're just leaving out with strategy here for a BBA level.
I thought Dhaval had said that we should retain healthcare at this stage
Yeah.
in the BBA.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
operations and IT is one possibility,
Yeah.
but we also said that we will retain, I think,
Correct. Healthcare, right? So we basically have 4 areas then. Instead of 3, you're basically bringing a 4th one, and you're saying that we'll have healthcare, we'll have operations, and then we will split up, and say maybe 10 coming from operations, 10 coming from healthcare, and then the rest of that bunch, 20 coming from marketing, and say 30 coming from finance and entrepreneurship, so that we make our 70.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Was there anything else, Seema?
No, this is what one thing that I wanted to finalize.
Yeah.
And I'm just reconfirming, we are also offering a minors here at the undergrad level. So all these specializations will be also offered as a minors. So we're on the same page on that.
Yeah. I don't see any reason why not.
Okay. Okay. So that's the one important thing. Just summarizing, So here I'll, as a next step, Hansa and I will finalize this after I do that 2-3 lines of each subject. And should we move ahead for a concentration? The 5 different concentration is finalized, that we are already on the same page on that.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
the examples of courses. So as of now, some 4 to 5 courses that I have given. This is just like examples. And once the dean and the specialization owners come into place, and they will make sure that they will have a number of courses as per their domain needs.
Yeah.
So that is the plan. Are we all okay with it?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
I'm
the
okay.
first question. Yeah. And second thing is, Hansa and I were discussing, because if we see many other universities, no, they have given the number of electives are more, the total number of courses. So should we stretch ourselves and give more electives, or as of now to begin with, we will give like a 5 concentrations and later we give more number
Our
of concentrations?
talk point should be actually our interdisciplinary courses.
Mm-hmm.
Not focus on numbers because, frankly, we can't really play that game.
Mm-hmm.
Our student, our total student cohort will not justify that number of courses,
Mm-hmm.
and B, other people will have already built certain core competencies in that area. So my
Mm-hmm.
suggestion is that we keep to distinctive courses rather than a very large number. So that
Okay.
requires a bit of a stretch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, if I see law and policies, that's something that I think we need to look at. But maybe the key has to be differentiated courses. So,
Mm-hmm.
can you, for example, do healthcare operations,
Mm-hmm.
service operations, and healthcare?
Yeah.
And I
Right now,
think, like in
very, very
finance, one more would be banking, because as we are putting mergers and acquisitions, portfolio management, options and futures, corporate banking would be one area which many of them might want to focus on, um, as a as a differentiating factor, because in India anyways we have a lot of corporate banking which is sort of happening, uh, and having a little bit more that talks about that, whereas if you look at outside in the US and stuff, their debt markets are very strong, right? Because they're tradable. Debt is tradable. In India, still debt is not tradable. You don't have an exchange for it. Whereas for us it's more equity, and then sort of lending is there, but you know lending is on a very safe side of lending, to institutions, and there are certain government bonds and all that. So knowing some basic stuff like that is where that corporate banking really helps. What's the system, all of that stuff. So I feel a little bit more on corporate banking side, and then valuations. So portfolio management is good, options and futures is good. I think financial markets. So this it's actually really a little bit more. We're doing already financial accounting. Hopefully that covers some valuation. But many of them, especially those who are hiring from investment banking, would want someone who has a little bit of a better understanding of finance from that perspective, from terms of valuation. Just like your M&A, you will need to do something like that for getting down to valuations, and uh, because people need to know not just the intrinsic value, industry wise, how do you actually value companies, and also include something to do with startup valuations and stuff, because that's also a little bit, when you come to an MBA level, many of them, especially on the buy side, look at all this stuff, and also something to do with impact investing. So I think that these could be a little bit more of game changers for us if other MBA programs don't have them.
Okay. Yeah. So then, I mean, I just put these names as a basic. Um, I was not meant to be like
Yeah,
these
yeah.
kind of a courses, but yeah, I'll try to find out some interdisciplinary courses, keeping that in mind. Like Hansa said, then I'll put the names. I'll restrict to around at least 10. Then we can choose and finalize from that. You're on a mute, Dhaval, if you're talking.
Sorry, yeah. And a lot of times, professors can teach, a mix of these courses. So even though they might come across as someone who can only teach one or two, but many of them can actually teach 4, 5 of these courses as well. Though they might just do better at, say, a particular course, but many of them can teach 4, 5 courses.
Well, but I mean, I have a question here. So once the dean comes into place, so I'm sure he will have his different. Uh,
Absolutely.
yes, yeah. So I'm just like, okay, we are just making a framework, and later whatever goes.
So that's why even the dean hiring and everything we have now with us for some time now. So the whole idea is that when we are even trying to get, or when we're trying to, of course, we will also interview or we'll go through some of these rounds to have discussions with the person who's ready to be flexible about all this stuff, because some deans come with that perspective, right? That okay, this is what I'm looking at. People have different goals at certain levels. So not that we want to run his position, but the fact is we have to know, as long as he's open, he doesn't, like, the goals, match. Otherwise, if those goals don't match, then he could just go on his own trip. Yeah.
Yeah, true. That's most important. Okay, got it.
Hansa, I'm sure that you've faced this at both the universities that you worked with.
Always.
So Dhaval, for this season at Atria, we didn't hire a VC for 2 years. It was on hold for 2 years. I heard recently, like 5 months ago, they hired someone. It was not working at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yes.
Hansa, did you tell her that we interviewed Pratik?
We interviewed Pratik,
Okay.
and
Okay. How was it?
and so look, as we expected,
Okay.
Pratik is not somebody who can really show that aggression and that drive which we will need at this point. He needs to have that commitment to really make this work. I think also, he's become frankly very influenced by the kind of admissions that is now happening in every university. So he's become so attuned to that process, get the leads in, get a call center in place, have people call them, push them to take admissions, that not, he's only thinking quantitatively. And right now we're at a stage where we want people to build a culture, build a spirit, and admissions must reflect that, right?
Yeah. True.
So for all of those good reasons, we've declined Pratik.
Okay.
But to be honest, it's a very small market. To find the right people, whether it is a vice chancellor or an admissions head, that's important. So there's one candidate who we both liked, and hopefully we'll be meeting him in the next few days to see if we can come to some common understanding.
Okay.
Though he's doing a little bit more of postgraduate than undergraduate. That's what we feel would be more suitable for him.
So in a way, change the admission structure to have an undergraduate and a postgraduate team. So if we can get this research on board, I think we should be able to get a good start on the MBA admissions.
Okay. Yeah, hope to get the good person so that, because it's completely like new and placing it in the market is completely in their hands. So
And it is behind schedule, clearly. Because I'm seeing all the other universities have even Mumbai University, I believe, has opened pre-registration, Dhaval. Is that right?
Yeah, we were actually discussing that today, that it's opening up pretty soon.
Yeah. Part of it is the election factor.
But that's why they've even delayed the civil services examination, right, by a month.
Yeah. It's in June now. Same, even Karnataka also, they have kept an exam on May 5th. I hope it get postponed now, the KPSC thing.
I feel like during these elections, the kids are the ones who suffer the most.
Dhaval, this reminds me, is there a number of seats that we have to keep for Mumbai quota that you told in some of the last call that you will inquire? Although it's a private, I mean, deemed to be university, but is it compulsory that they have to keep certain seats only for um, uh, specifically from a Mumbai or a Hindi speaking people or Marathi speaking people, something
I
like
think
that?
that
Because in Karnataka it is there.
quota doesn't. I don't think that it applies. I think right now recently some Maratha quota thing has happened
Okay.
for 10% or something, but I don't think that that's going to be a challenge for us. But uh, I mean, I've asked them if there's anything that they want in particular. They haven't come back to me yet.
Okay. Just reminded, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. Okay, I got my notes and whatever I wanted to confirm. So I'll start working on that mostly. And yeah, so the last thing that I want to discuss is on, if you both have time, the certification course on the healthcare.
Yeah, sure.
So while I was doing research, I came across some three different things. One is a healthcare management, and one is healthcare administration, healthcare analytics. So because it's a certification program, right? So I mean, people have different giving it in a different manner, and healthcare management and healthcare administration are two different things completely.
Yeah, so I was going to say that you will. So, two things here. One is if we go into the administration piece, then that's like, administering or working on a hospital and all of those things.
Yeah.
I feel we have to figure out this, and this is important. We can leave that for a second year or a third year, at a later point, maybe going into the first year, because we are looking at management and we're looking at business, we should probably keep healthcare management as an option. This is my suggestion, but Hansa, happy to hear what you have to say.
Well, this is an area which I don't have that much familiarity with. But logically, what you're saying, I think works. Healthcare administration certainly is a different game altogether. Maybe huge demand, but I don't think we're ready for it right now.
So I'll just share one of the IM Kozhikode, I think. Kozhikode ka, I was just looking at it. I don't know where I download it. Just give me 1 second. Yeah. So, I mean, um,
Yeah, no worries. Please go ahead.
so is my screen visible?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. It is showing the PDF, right? IM Kozhikode ka?
Yeah.
Ha.
Or you want
So
to call it both management and analytics?
they are calling it. I'm just showing you one example. And management and analytics, I mean, I did see some of the certification with the same name. It does go well.
This is just more to sell things, yeah. Nothing else is what I feel.
I'm going through the courses so that we will have some understanding of it. Where is it? Yeah. So they have in general healthcare and the general management. Then they got this operations, more into operations and analytics. So it's a 10-month program, by the way.
Yeah, which makes sense, really.
Hmm.
If you just scroll up a bit, Seema, I think this certainly seems, good strategy for us to also adopt, because we would already have a base in operations management and strategy, etc. And
Yeah.
that would allow us to leverage the faculty and the course content
Correct.
for healthcare.
Yeah. And I mean, I like the fact that they have mixed this management and analytics with the, I mean, new technology bringing in. But yeah, they have clubbed it like a 10 months. So after I've seen like some of the courses, I mean, certification from the different platforms, this was the one which was making sense. But yeah, a little more work is needed on that. So I wanted to take both of your um, thoughts on that. One is healthcare administration, definitely not now. That I'm pausing for now. But in the healthcare management and healthcare analytics, either we can club, that's a one option, or we can keep it as two and then thinking of later to like club, that is also one more option. Thoughts? Tasuniru. Sorry, I'm so sorry. She's very talkative and she talks like 24/7. So so difficult to make her silent. Yeah. Yeah. So what do you both think? What is the line that we need to concentrate and start building a program for the certification, especially the healthcare? Or shall I keep it like a broader sense of healthcare management and then we will include some of the management courses and work on it?
Really look at it, Seema, your
Mhm.
module 2 picks on most of your foundational
Yeah,
courses,
yeah, correct.
just contextualizes them to healthcare.
Yeah, correct. And if you go to the module 5 also, no, Hansa, it's it's more on they have mixed up this leadership module also here.
Strategy and leadership.
How? And along with this, they have one more capstone project.
But can I tell you something,
Mm-hmm.
Seema?
Mm-hmm.
Also, and Hansa, I think also we have to try and understand that what is the problem we are solving with bringing a specialized course in healthcare? And does India have a different market than globally with something like this? Because India is the biggest, has become one of the biggest
Healthcare.
outsourcing,
Yeah.
units for. So, we acquire APIs from China, whatever it is, and then all the generic drugs are being built over here. So, one is the drug, plus second is how hospitals are run. Third, medical devices, all of this stuff. What is this professional who gets this coursework? Is what do we want them to benefit, or how do we want them to benefit, right? So let's think about that piece strongly, and maybe a way to do that is get some of these people from the hospital, like I know the dean of Cefi, like that one two of these people we can bring on board and understand that what might be their sort of suitable requirement, uh, and maybe analyze that a little bit more to develop a curriculum that's better or different. Uh, but after looking at, like, I'm glad that, Seema, you're seeing some of this, but I think we should see global versus Indian and what is the context of that. And then probably make a little bit more because it's so specialized. I feel otherwise we'll be like how UK is just building anything and everything. It's just for people to come and study, do their 1 year masters, and then if they get a job or not, it doesn't matter to them.
Um, well, I did look at the some of the programs globally. I
Yeah.
mean, what I correct me whether it makes sense. I think for this particular certification course, no, I feel like we have to come from a industry to academia. Like first, we need to do the exercise of talking to people and making sure that this is their need exactly, and what market is actually required, and then come back, and because it's a certification course anyways, we need not worry about any regulations or anything, right? So we should completely cater to the market is what I personally feel.
Yeah,
Otherwise, I
so
mean, we can do this combination of management courses, some of the management courses that is relating to healthcare. That is possible. I'm not saying no to that. But because this one is a certification, and soon after that, they're not like going for any higher studies or something. Mostly they will be in the market, working in the market. So that skill, giving that skill in that particular 8 to 10 months is very crucial and important. So for that reason, I think talking to people and coming back later and then drawing a curriculum or the framework would help is what personally I think. Yeah, Hansa, you were saying something. Sorry.
Yeah, just saying that, Dhaval, when we start talking drugs, then we're actually looking at pharma as being one large industry to benefit from it.
Yeah.
Right now, pharma is very limited, very specialized. Uh, I think our approach is more healthcare and hospitals, including medical tourism,
Yeah.
for which India is becoming a hub, rather than towards formulation. Similarly, I think we have to answer whether we want a more service-oriented context or a more manufacturing heavy and industry
So,
context.
so that's good. I'm glad you're bringing in this point, Seema. I mean, sorry, Hansa, is because I see that there are many of them who are in the, in this drug manufacturing kind of a, scenario where they want their kids to go through this entire understanding of operations of and where these drugs can be used and how the whole process will work, and they want them to do a master's in something that helps them with this management, or I would say uh, or pharmaceutical sciences or whatever that might be, or but the management of it all. And I feel some of them want a very specific degree to it. So I feel like maybe we need to look a little bit also harder that is the coursework that where we're talking about healthcare management, are we only talking about placing them in companies like an Apollo or global hospitals, and they're helping those hospitals sustain the business or grow the business in a better way. Maybe when these companies merge, they need like a whole bunch of professionals who understand the sector better, or how things like uh, the ratio of beds, just like how you have in the hotel industry, you have the ratio of what the occupancy is versus the amount that is spent on beverages and all of that stuff. So they have these so specific like understanding of how things work. I feel similarly you will need something in here in healthcare as an industry. Now, when I'm looking at healthcare as an industry, that could probably be pharma, but it could be management of hospitals versus it could be, and I feel like that's where we want to understand that what is this, you know, um, when you complete this masters, what is it going to, what skills is it going to equip me with, and in addition to that, what are the areas that I can build my career in?
Dhaval, Ahmedabad does a global MBA in pharma management. And honestly, at times it was, a challenge. So this is a program for working professionals, but it was a challenge to get the cohort in place. Just
Yeah,
share the on
that's what I
chat.
was going to say. That's what I was going to say. That I believe would be a little bit of a challenge for working professionals versus those who are not, they don't even understand the industry yet. It's for me to get equipped with understanding the industry and then for them to start looking at stuff. Yeah, this is very difficult. Yeah, this is an MBA global. It's an executive MBA level. This is even
And
harder, Hansa.
this is a tough one. And they had actually, if I remember correctly, it was UCSD. Just should be listed there.
I wouldn't even look at doing something like this. It's
Yeah,
very challenging. It's a
very
headache.
challenging. And I think, we are going more the services route. So if you really look at it, your earlier presentations, we were looking at, for example, luxury, retail, uh, and those may be areas that we can bring a benefit to. Ahmedabad
Yeah.
has now started focusing on research very significantly. which has a fit with the kind of programs that they are now getting into.
Even ISB has a healthcare management, by the way.
Oh, I haven't checked that. I must
Yeah.
take a
Yeah,
look
yeah,
at
Dhaval. I have listed here. The duration is 12 weeks, and it is a online, and the fee is 1,12,000. But it is open for only healthcare admins and medical professionals.
Ah.
It is not open for
Yeah,
any
it's not
other
for,
grant.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Same with
basically for
IM Lucknow.
promoters, owners, doctors, all of that, no?
Yeah. So same with the IM Lucknow. Even they also have a course on healthcare management. It is called, and it's a
Ah.
11 months course, and mostly it's completely online. But they do call only for 5 days in the campus, like in those 11 months, and it is completely online. And but this is open for any graduates. But in India, no, most of the certification courses, if at all, if you have a look, at least 50% of them are open to healthcare professionals, doctors who are from this health industry. Because the duration is also small that they want to give and everything.
Even NMIMS has it, no?
Yeah, yeah, even NMMs has that, yes. I didn't list it out that here, but I did have a look, yeah. So
But I
in
think their program is like a proper MBA.
isn't
It's
it
like a
1 year?
proper MBA.
It's not
Nee, nee,
1 year?
It's saying it's structured in 6 trimesters of 12 weeks each.
Well,
So 12,
12
I'm just
weeks,
thinking,
3 years. It becomes not 2 years. It's more than that.
yeah, I mean, it says structured
72.
in 6 trimesters of 12 weeks each.
Yeah, that
So,
becomes 72 weeks. It becomes
so that's a year
52.
and a half, no?
Yeah, 1.5 year.
So which is longer, which is what we don't want to. That's why I'm saying no. We just keep a master's, like a master's of science in
Mhm.
healthcare management. It's a one year. That's it. You finish it in 36 or 40 credits.
I got an invitation.
Yeah.
So,
So
Dhawan, a Master of Science
Yeah.
is something that we can offer on this campus right away.
No, but we're not looking at doing because uh, any masters are supposed to be 2 years, no? So we're going to provide a. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
saying masters of science. What I meant to say is like a certificate, like a masters of science. Yeah.
Right. Fair enough. So, no issues in terms of the legislative part of that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But what I see in this in NMIMS, what they've done is year one, if you see, and it's broken up into the trimesters, of course. What I see is that in year one, at the end of the trimesters, they're giving you 4 to 6 weeks of research intensive course for independent study during summer term. So, and then what they're basically focusing on is one, like they start off with doing statistical reasoning, health economics, legal and ethical issues. Then they move towards, people and organization, uh, then financial management, then marketing, then operations, then technology in the second, semester. And then the third one, they move to public health, policy, human resource, hospital administration. So this is something that can be used across different things, not just not just a hospital. So you can talk about doing public health. You can work with institutions for public health. Then there is healthcare analytics. Then they put research methods. Then project management. Um, then they've gone to capstone simulation. Then digital technology. Then governance. Then medical tourism. Then health insurance. And then the last trimester is all a 12 to 16-week internship, which is health centric institutions and then dissertation. So maybe there's something that we don't need to do because it's a certificate. A master's is 12 months. You don't need all these other things running in.
okay.
And here they're saying eligibility is graduation in medicine or allied disciplines, pharmacy, life sciences, medical technology, biotechnology. They're including all of that stuff in here. So they're just adding management to it, essentially. So we'll have to figure out, and this is what NMIMS is doing. So either I don't know where it's flying. We should talk to someone who's probably a little bit like who's doing this at NMIMS who can tell us that where are these kids getting placed? Because it's really not clear here.
Is it open to even a commerce and a arts graduates, or only from a medical and like science biotech
It just
background?
says eligibility is graduation, medicine, or allied disciplines like MBBS, pharmacy, medical technology. So all these tech people who are coming with
Ah,
some bachelors, with
yeah.
an MBBS and stuff, they are the ones who basically can go through this.
Yeah, okay. It's not open for like arts and
No, and it says or no, it says or any other stream graduate with minimum 2 years of healthcare sector experience.
experience. Okay. But our program has to be like open to all, no? I mean, people coming from a arts or a commerce,
Yeah.
because anyways it's a certification and we should open the market even to that. We should help them, correct?
So you know what? I feel public health is important, but you know, see, public health policy. So is this, kids who are basically just coming out of doing pharmacy, doing all of the stuff, who don't have experience, not just pharmacy only, but who don't have the experience, but really need that entire rundown of stuff, right? This should be that. And then get these kids into, the right places through doing an internship, so maybe right after they graduate, there should be an internship period and then full-time work, not just a placement right away. Because I don't think that we can, as a matter of fact, we were talking about this, right? 6 plus 4, 10, and 2 months of an internship.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But there were like someone who has done the pharma for 3 to 4 years, and why will they come here? I mean, I'm just trying to understand the market here, because
Yeah.
whatever I had
So
done is only the.
so I feel it's not specific, when they're doing something, it's only so, first of all, doing pharma at bachelor's, all this becomes so specific for many of them, and they don't really get an understanding of how organizations are run. And this is what helps them is how do I get, and most of them want to get a master's before they can get positioned anywhere else. Because at a bachelor's level, that's essentially the mindset, right? Even for recruiters. You're just getting a very simple understanding of what you can do in pharma, but how an organization is going to work, making them industry ready is not what is really happening at the bachelor's level. So how do we make them industry ready? It's not just the coursework. It's going to be a bunch of other stuff that we actually do. That's why you'll have to look at the curriculum to see what do we do where we build engagement, not just coursework.
So now, I mean, with all this conversation, if I can summarize 1 or 2 lines, so we are trying to build a kind of a program which is open to all at the first go. Second is which is trying to give a clear understanding of a management plus organizations and law policies, like how it works, especially in Indian perspective.
Yeah. See, look at if I see NMIMS, for instance, they have just got the chief operating officer. They've got an advisory board. They've got the chief operating officer of Hinduja Hospital. They've got the director general from Association of Healthcare Providers. They've got the project director from eSanjeevani, some national telemedicine service. And then, yeah, I think that's, and then the digital health director at PwC, some medical superintendent of Nanavati Hospital. And then the only one person that I see is Kunal Damesha, who's pharma and healthcare equity research analyst. So maybe that someone can get a position of working as an analyst in the equity research team if they know more about, healthcare management, for instance. So that's the scope. That's how I feel like they built their entire advisory board of all these kind of specialists. They've even got the CEO of Walcott Hospitals also on this. Apollo Hospital is also taken.
Yeah, okay. Okay. So I'll try to come with the first draft at least. Now keeping healthcare management.
Hansa, is there anything? Sorry, Hansa, is there anything that you feel we didn't cover or I didn't cover or me and Seema? I'm sorry because we were having separate conversation. It felt like I wasn't sure, Hansa.
No, all there. I honestly feel that the positioning of this course is still very preliminary. Um, I'm quiet because firstly, I don't understand the healthcare space as well. And secondly, Dhaval, it seems ambitious at this stage. Launching that program is one part, sustaining it, finding the right kind of faculty to drive it, being able to align it to a segment which is interested enough, and also find the right kind of employability for graduates, I see as a bit of a challenge. Um, is it the right time for us to have a course like this? Is a question I'm thinking about. I was trying to do a little bit of research, to see. Also questioning, Dhaval, whether it will become perceived as service staff for a hospital, which we certainly don't want. We want this really to contribute to administration of health, of hospitals and healthcare facilities. It could be the large hospitals, it could be, as we talked about earlier, diagnostics and other areas like that. Um,
Yeah, I know, I agree. Diagnostics, hospitals. See, many of them who are coming up and they're growing, they need someone in this healthcare management piece. I know a friend, who started this Orange, labs, which is known in Bangalore. I think, Seema, you might have heard of it.
Yes.
The Orange Diagnostics
Yeah.
thing. So I know Dhruv. Dhruv is a Michigan alumni who was working with Practo. So he sold his company to Practo and then started this Orange Labs. So their apparent thing is that their USP is that they collect the blood the fastest than everyone else, and they give you the report the quickest. Uh, so because it says that when you collect the blood, also it's important to process that quickly. Then keep it around, and then somewhere it's waiting in the system and all of that. So that was their pitch to it. But so someone like them would probably want to hire from a course like this, um, or would want to hire for their purposes. But it's good to understand from him. We can bring him also on board to understand if what kind of a coursework or what kind of people would sort of align for the diagnostics. Number one, similarly, we can get someone from the hospital. As I said, a dean from Sefi that I know who's been running that for a while. He's of course done his MBBS surgery, all of that, but he's running an entire hospital. So what are the some of the things needed for it, right? To understand that. So maybe that could be one. But apart from that, I feel even running in the entire healthcare space as someone who comes from a family business perspective, saying that
I think we lost him.
yeah, he'll just log on.
Huh.
What is your comfort level, Seema?
I mean, like you, it was a new space for me, Hansa. Whatever I could collect is only through a research. And currently, I don't have any friends. And my friends who are in this, they're mostly doctors, but they're all busy now. So I couldn't even speak to anyone with respect to this field. So for me, speaking to someone would definitely help. But like rightly you have pointed out, placement is something that we need to worry about.
Yeah,
And
placement and the ecosystem, right? So
uh,
are we talking doctors? Are we talking
exactly,
administrators? Are we
correct,
talking
correct.
service professionals
Yeah,
in different requirements?
yeah. So that is the reason I put this in some of the courses. There are only like certain group of professionals are allowed to do it. And if I see, I mean, from upgrad or whatever it is, when I went through the syllabus, no, it was not more on the management. It was more on people who have already have a background. So if we are giving one more certification for them, then we need to think.
Yeah, it's very specialized.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking of all the doctor friends we have,
Mm-hmm.
and most of them are focused on their specialism. They're
Correct.
not really.
Huh.
Will you just check with Dhawan if he's.
I will raise my phone, my daughters. I think he must have lost network or something. What's the plan for a weekend, Hansa?
You tell me, Seema, you're the one on a lovely farmhouse.
No, I came back to Bangalore.
Oh,
Unfortunately, yeah. So what happened is for continuous two days, I there was some problem with the Wi-Fi and I couldn't get any network.
oh,
And at certain point, there was not even a mobile network. So all the
challenge.
work was getting delayed and everything. So on Tuesday only I came back. Unfortunate, yeah.
What is Dhaval's name?
Yeah, I'm not able to reach his number. I'll just message him. I think he doesn't have a network or something. Just try again. No, I think he's not having a network.
So just maybe drop him a message.
I'll do that. Yeah.
Let's resume a little later then. I think I have a hard stop at 8, so it's past that now.
Yeah, I think at least from the MBA perspective, only one thing that I couldn't recall to discuss is integrated MBA. That we both thought that we can think of it the later stage, not at
Let's
this moment.
no, so I think the that discussion is still open. Let's just close out the MBA
Okay.
and the BBA, then we can pick
Okay.
that up because it's not going to be
Yeah.
relevant for 3 years.
Correct. Correct. So I'm telling Dhaval that we will leave the call for now and we can resume later. Hmm?
Okay, catch you later.
Yeah. Okay. Bye. Take care.